When I first got the Darius Cozmic Collection, I initially really liked Darius II. It was different from Darius Gaiden, which was the Darius game that I was most familiar with at the time. It was 2 screens wide, the upgrade path was different, the final bosses were different, and the opening level's voiceover was amazing.
I always wanted a thing called tuna sashimi.
But the more and more I played, the more frustrated I would get with it. My ship didn't feel like it was responsive enough. Enemies would swarm the screen and fill it with bullets. When you die, you lose all your upgrades, and a lot of projectiles move faster than your ship does. The game doesn't feel challenging, it just feels unfair. It feels unbalanced. The biggest issue I have with Darius II is that the speed of your ship is always either as fast as or slower than the enemy projectiles. This makes dodging enemy shots particularly tricky since you can't fly backwards to avoid shots in front of you and then fly underneath them. Instead, you're forced to fly through the gaps, and if those gaps get filled with enemies and their bullets, then you're just out of luck. What makes things worse is that dying makes your ship start all the way back to base power, which in later levels makes things almost impossible because your ship can't output shots fast enough to take care of enemies, and the screen quickly becomes oversaturated with enemy fire. The key to getting far in Darius II is simple. Don't ever die. The best way to do this is to shoot down enemies as soon as they get on screen before they can fire at you. This way, there's less to deal with on screen at a time. And that's pretty much the meta of Darius II. Try and stay fully powered up and wipe out everything on screen before it can shoot you. There aren't shot patterns to memorize, and there's no bombs to save you in a pinch, aside from some placed in the levels seemingly at random. You just have to shoot them before they shoot you. Darius II tries to make up for the crippling drop in power by dropping a super power-up if you die later on in the game, but they don't exactly tip the odds in your favor. They're helpful, no doubt, but the trouble is that it's difficult to obtain them without getting shot down in the first place. In order to collect power-ups in Darius II, you have to destroy every single pod on screen that shows up in order to get the power-up to even appear. That means if you miss even one pod, then you don't get the upgrade, and shooting them all down becomes more and more difficult later on in the game. We can take a look at other Darius games for a way to avoid these issues. In the first Darius game, instead of having to destroy 6 or so enemies in a chain, you would only have to shoot down the colored enemies. This makes collecting power-ups after a death much easier. It also gives the player a better chance to recover if they make a mistake. Darius Gaiden continues with this same power-up method, but the punishment for death here is much more balanced. If you get killed while powered up, instead of losing everything, you drop down to the power level below you. For instance, if you have the wave power-up and you get shot down, you spawn back with the weakest form of the lasers, rather than being set back to the default shot. This way, there's no need for a super power-up, and it actually makes it possible to recover from a mistake. If you want to win in Darius II, you pretty much have to beat the entire game without getting shot down. Now, all of this doesn't necessarily make Darius II a bad game. It gets a lot of points in the style department, and I think the music is pretty catchy too. In fact, with just a few tweaks, Darius II can be made into a really fun game, and that's exactly what they did with the Genesis or Mega Drive version. Now, it's still Darius II at its heart, even though the levels are a little different, so recovering from one mistake is still almost impossible, but they made 2 big changes that tip the scale in the player's favor just enough to make the game feel like a good challenge, rather than this BS where the enemy comes from behind and there's so many shots and oh my god! Number 1. The ship moves faster. That's it. You can now move slightly faster than some bullets, and my god, it makes a world of a difference. The slight boost to your speed makes flying through tight corridors with tons of stuff on screen much more manageable. You feel less clunky, and it makes getting hit feel more like your own fault than some garbage from the game's end. And number 2, your weapons are a little better. Their hitboxes are bigger than they appear, and they take up more real estate on the screen due to there only being 1 monitor instead of 2 in the arcade. This makes the meta of kill everything before they shoot at you something that you can actually keep up with. As long as you position yourself properly on the screen, you should be able to take out most enemies before they can clog up the screen with a bunch of crap. And yeah, even the ones that come from behind you too. So if you think Darius II looks interesting, I recommend playing the Genesis version. It's got the same spirit as the arcade, but at a much more manageable challenge. So thank you for watching. I'm going to be doing an entire video comparing every port of Darius II in order to demonstrate what each version has to offer. In that video, I'll be going over the Saturn, PC Engine, Game Boy, and Master System versions, as well as going into greater detail on the Genesis or Mega Drive version, so if you are interested in what that version has to offer, keep an eye out for that. I'm Bofner, and I'll see you all next time!